a poor boy from Liverpool. I'm just a poor boy from Liverpool.
Hey everyone, it's me again. It's Friday, and we have the weekend to look forward to, don't we? Big weekend, which is, I just hope that's good weather for everyone, because it's been a mixture, isn't it? Rain and whatever. Well, a little bit chilly actually for summer, but that's this country. You can't rely on the weather. I remember years ago, I said I'll have a barbecue. And everyone was made, oh yeah, I said I'll have it over weekends. And this was in the July. Every weekend it rained. Never had the barbecue. Because I wasn't going to have a barbecue in the rain. I don't like rain and being in it. Like going away on holiday when it rains. You get away from the rain. But that's it. Me and the rain don't get along. I suppose you don't get along with the rain either. But anyway, let's see what you've been saying, calling me for everything, I suppose. And not you again, Frank. Kevin says, you're doing your hair again. You haven't got a good head of hair. What's the secret of Frank? A wig. It's a wig, Kevin. I remember taking these people out, all oldies. They were great people, lovely. And it was windy. Went into the town hall. I came in. They were all in there, and I came in. Windswept, doing that to me in my head. And I went, like that. I said, it's my wig state. And honestly, the woman went out, do a little bit to your left. Oh, it's okay. I said, how's that? And she said, perfect. So there was, I said, no, you are a wig, Frank. I said, yeah, it's glued down. It's glued down. Believe anything, don't they? These lovely people. And the T says, Kevin, Frank uses the German engineered Alpecin shampoo. What's that? And the T says, even in Frank in chat, he carries on by saying, like, share, hype. Let me know what the hype is, because I watch a podcast, not football. And he says, use the hype. I don't know what the hype is. And subscribe, please, chat. It's free to do. Let's see if we can get up to it. Thank you. I've been on the same number. And Kevin says, hello, is there anyone out there? Come in, Raven. Glad you can make it. And hello, Frank and Shatters. How you feel? And he says, Kevin, I use my dog shampoo. I bet that's back and fun, eh? Using your dog shampoo. And the lovely little Johnny. Good evening, lovely chat family and lovely Frank. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday to you. I've been listening to, Mr. Trump, as usual. And you don't know whether you can't believe him, can you? Because he's trying to keep the oil barrel down, the prices of the barrels of oil. He's trying to keep them down on the stock market. And he keeps saying to the American people that he says, we've had a meeting and it looks like it's going to be peace, no more war with Iran. That's to get the oil prices down. especially on the American stock market. But it's not going to happen. Not with Israel involved. It'll never, ever happen. Peace with Iran. And that's the sad thing about Trump and his warmongering. And he could easily stop it. Easily. All he's got to say to Israel, well, no more Starlink for you. No more weapons. Nothing. We're pulling out. And he could say the same thing to Ukraine. We're pulling out. But he doesn't. Still gives them weapons. Still gives Israel weapons. Still uses the intel where Israel uses their missiles to go and bomb Iran. It's a mess. It's a terrible mess. The Middle East, especially with Trump. He's a phony. He got in to be POTUS on the promise of peace. I'll bring peace. He said, I'll bring peace within 24 hours to Ukraine. Still giving them arms, still giving them intel. He's giving them a little bit of money. But that's about it. He's escalating all the time. Never trust a word Trump says, ever. It's the way it is. And you look at other things, obviously. You look at this country. John Healey, the state of him. What does he look like? He looks like a barman, isn't he? Down at the old local pub. All right, lads, what do you want? That's what he looked like. Didn't look like a statesman whatsoever. And he resigned, didn't he, from the Starmer. And you've got to look at the way the country's gone. The country's a terrible mess. This country, that is. It's unrecognisable. I was thinking the other day how this country has gone from being okay to being what we see today. What we see today. But I'm afraid it's not just here, it's the whole of Europe. The three main men of Europe, believe it or not, is Starmer, Macron and Merz, and all the local people, all the Germans, the vast majority of Germans, and the vast majority of French, and the vast majority of the British people want these three out. But who's going to take the place? Same. Because whoever gets in place is a puppet. We've always been a puppet to America. We do as we're told by America. So does France. So does Germany. That's why you've got this war going on in Ukraine. That's why you've got the war going on in Iran. And it's the diarrhea of America, the American mouths. I'm talking about politicians, the foreign policy makers. But who's doing the foreign policy? It's allegedly that it's Israel doing the foreign policy for America. Think about that. Thousands and thousands of miles apart. And yet they're doing the foreign, little tiny country, doing the foreign policies for America. I always remember Biden saying that he was on television, he was actually saying, I'm a Zionist. Christian Zionist, he said. He said it on television. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. That was Joe Biden. Diddy, old man. And the T says, Happy Friday, Donny. Oh, that's nice. And little Donna says, Frank, I had an offer to invest in SpaceX before it was launched on the stock market. He is, as I'm sure you know, a trillionaire with 85% of the company, control of the company. Oh, yeah, he wants to, well, he will become the first trillionaire because it's gone public. And you wonder, when you see these like science fiction films and the way the Earth's going, and it's going to blow up. I was watching a film a few months ago now, trying to think of it, and it was done in the 50s, and it was about this like planet, another planet, or a satellite planet, that is, coming in, and it was going to crash into Earth. And this scientist was telling people, and no one believed him. Few did. A few did. So he made a rocket. He had the best engineers. He made a rocket to get people off. And he has a lottery sort. What was it called? I forget what it was called. Cracking little film. And so it's similar to this film. I'll try and get the film. I'll try and catch it. I'll try and think of it. But it was good. It was good. It's similar from what I was listening to Elon Musk about. Because he said, I want you, to get up there to the ordinary public. You got to pay, obviously. So he's exploring space like no one else. So why is he exploring space? Is he exploring another planet to go to take people? You never know. You never know. He wants to explore Mars, doesn't he, really? But there's a little tiny bit of atmosphere on Mars. Tiny bit. Could you make it work? Yeah, with technology you could. And machines. There's so many science fiction films that are being made throughout the years. And to be honest, the way it's going here on the planet with these wars and everything else that's going on could come true. The science fiction films. Donna says, thanks TW, it was last month. And Phil says, I watched a video comparing young Musk to Musk today, like two different people. Power corrupts. I think we all change, don't we, as we get older? No matter what, we change. We can be, how can you put it? We can be very quiet as we grow up. Or the opposite, you could be very boisterous. And by the time people see you from it, like being young to what you are as an adult, they say, wow, not I've changed. I don't mean in features, I mean in attitude. Everything. It's the way it goes. But it's like anything else. As I said about science fiction, is it really going that bad? And I say it is the way it's going in reality. The way everything's going in reality, that is wars. And the likes of Trump hasn't stopped. He just hasn't stopped. He wants to look at Venezuela. He took Maduro out. He kidnapped him and his wife and put him in jail. What for? Because he wants the resources of Venezuela, and the resources is oil. It's got the largest deposit of oil on the planet. Whether you're aware of that or not, I don't know. So he wants that. He just wants to take Cuba out for the sake of it. And he wants to put a puppet regime in like he did in 2014. But he didn't. The Americans did, though. Obama did in 2014. Overthrew Yanukovych, the president, and put these people out since today. So we wanted a proxy war. It was all planned anyway. It was all planned, this. In 1999, nothing's just comes like that. Everything is planned. Everything is seeded. And that's why you've got wars. You don't just start a war for nothing. So everything is planned. As I said about Cuba, as I said about Iceland, he wanted to make Canada the 51st state. He told them. And he wants South America sorted as well. The whole of Latin America. As I said, he's already started with Venezuela. Mexico's next. That's why someone asked me if I'm watching, only today as well, a mate of mine, excuse me, phoned me up and said, are you watching the World Cup? I said, no. I said, why you're not watching? I said, no. He says, why? I said, because America's playing in it and they're holding it. And Israel. I said, they're at war. Especially America. At war with everyone. Regime changes. Colour revolutions. NGOs are out and about in different parts of the world for regime changes. Like they did in Ukraine in 2014 when they overthrew Yanukovych, the president, who was democratically elected. I said, that's why. So why should I watch America, who's warmongering with everyone, and Israel, who's at war, and look at Gaza and the West Bank, what's happening there? And they're playing in the World Cup. And Russia, who went in to save people, Russian-speaking people, from genocide. Lots of people don't know about that, by the way. And Putin was warning them. And he said, I've had enough. The West was saying, you'll have to stop this. Nothing happened. So he went in. He warned them, I'm going in. And he went in, and this is what we've got today. And you've got the daft West saying Russia are going to attack the West. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure they are. They're going to attack the West. Pathetic. You know, Johnny, these old science fiction films and programs like One Step Beyond are amazing. Yes, yes, Johnny, they are. And Phil says some people change for the better. Yet they do change for the better. I know a few people, to be honest, Phil. Lindsay, hey, Lindsay, even if Frank and all. Hey, Lynn. And Donna says, do you think Musk and Chip put into his own brain, put a chip into his own brain and he's now being controlled from an outside source? That is science fiction, that, Donna. Don't think so. He's his own man, Musk. And Phil says America is a very lucky country. Everywhere they kill millions for freedom and democracy. They find oil and gold. Yes. Yes, in other words, it's resources. They've always been for resources, no matter what country, no matter what century. They've only been a republic since 1776. Haven't they? And when you get that 250 years old, the sad indictment is this, and it is sad that within that 250, every war since then, every single war, even right up to today, as I said, America hasn't been involved in only 6 of them. They've always been involved in wars. America can't fight on their own. Hope you realise that. They've never won a war on their own, ever. And take that as fact. It's all right. I think they would go into Cuba and take that and go, we won the war. They take over vulnerable countries. Iceland, look at Iceland, come on. I think there's more polar bears in Iceland than there is of people, if you know what I mean. I had a pat. Musk has always was a military contractor. His businesses are just a face for the military tech. Yes. Good shout out of the pat. That's how he's made his money, to be honest. And JG Quinn says it's as if they are heading off. They are heading off for a deadline, gloves off. I think everybody is, but they are. You know, a gloves off could have existential consequences. And that's nuclear. That's nuclear. Germany, you know, mates, everyone's having a go at Russia. And I mean everyone. This country, Germany saying, now Germany, forget the general's name. And he signs a document that they will never build after the Second World War, that they will never ever build a military power. Now they're coming out and boasting, saying, the mates especially, we're going to have a military power. Why hasn't anyone stopped them? Because it's an agreement at the ending of the war, but no one's stopping them. Nobody. It's like Gaza, no one's stopping what's happening in Gaza and the West Bank. Nobody. Nobody batted an eyelid when Maduro was kidnapped and brought over to America, where he's languishing in prison. No one batted an eyelid. No one's saying anything about Cuba, because that Marco Rubio, he's wanting to get in there. He can't wait to get in there. You have that Lindsey Graham fella just wanting to destroy the whole and its people of Iran. He's been wanting that for years. So the gloves off, that means nuclear. And the remote control cars, SpaceX and Starlink, are just military satellites. Of course they are. Of course they are. Ali. Good evening, Ali, our Romanian friend. And Dockstock says, they say it's just an institution. Everything's become an institution now. I'm being honest with you, ladies and gents. I've become institutionalised ever since COVID. I won't go out. It's not that I'm agoraphobic or anything. It's just what for? What? I can't hardly walk anyway. This is why I'm having this operation. But the problem is with me is I just don't want to venture out at all. And this is the way things go with people. And I'm not the only one, because I'll tell you what it was. It was through COVID. COVID was one of the biggest scams on the planet. And it was to see if governments could control the populations all around the world. And it succeeded. It's also succeeded, especially America, in moving people across one continent into another. And that was the African continent, the Middle Eastern continent. Well, it's just Africa anyway, into Europe. And it succeeded. And this is what you have today. These mad crimes that are being committed by a different culture that they think it's all right. And the Pat says, I agree, Frank. I refuse to watch any of this World Cup of blood. That's a cracker, that. World Cup of blood. You've only got to see how the Africans were treated when they went over to the World Cup. The Iranians were interrogated, football team. And Phil says, Frank, there are some great interviews with Isaac Asimov, a science fiction author in America. Haven't read his books, but fascinating brain. I haven't read his books, but fascinating brain. There's a lot, and strangely enough, that's Asimov sounds Russian. And if you think about it, all the Russian literature in the West has been banned. There's no plays, say like Chekhov play. Chekhov, that can't be played now. You can't rehearse it and you can't put it on. Any literature, you can't even, don't try it but you can't even read War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. All literature is banned. You can't go and see at your own local theatre, opera theatre or whatever, any theatre, the Bolshoi Ballet. The Bolshoi Ballet, you can't go and see it because they've been banned from travelling. That's how bad it is with Russophobes. And Donna says, if you had to make a choice between Trump and Putin, come on. Well, I'm not going to pick Trump, am I? Putin, by a long, 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 long way. And Phil says to Donna, million percent Putin. It's the Gator man. Hey, Dennis. Happy Friday, gang. Payday edition. Payday edition. Lockstock says the gloves are off. No rules. No. That's what I've been expecting Putin to do that for a very long time. But he hasn't so far. But I'm getting fed up with that, really. I'm getting fed up with the war. Any war. I hate the loss of life through violence, too. And Phil says to Dennis, it's lovely and sunny here today. And free from alligators as well, Dennis. No alleys walking around. Dennis says 4 UFO declassified videos released by the US government today. Go away. That'll be interesting. There you go. Be interesting to see. But if they're taken by fighter jets or anything, I've seen them before where, see little things and you see it move. But it'll be interesting, nevertheless, Dennis. Very interesting. And the Woodmaster. I amaze. Good evening, Frank and chat. Great show, great people. So like and subscribe. This world makes me mad. Cubans really suffering now, basically having to eat rats, dogs and cats. This is what America's all about. And people love America. I'm not saying America's a beautiful country. They've got everything there. And I mean, everything. You could go skiing somewhere. Say like in Colorado, for example, go skiing there and fly down to where Dennis lives and sun yourself. It's an incredible country, beautiful valleys, wooded areas, you name it. But unfortunately, you've got politicians who are ruining it. Not only that, but you've got certain members of society totally destructive. There's a lad who's just being accused of, well, he's just been found guilty of murder. Goes to a track meet in schools, goes into this tent, and he said, the captain of the tent, where other students, he said, will you please go? You don't belong here, because he was from a different school. The lads who told him to go ended up dead because of this lad killing him. A knife through the heart. But some of the things that are coming out by the likes of the murderer's parents and his followers is an absolute disgrace. One of his followers, a spokesman for them, said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll dig the lads up and stab them again. You can't make these things up. That's what's happening in America. And Donna says, Frankie goes to Hollywood. 2 tribes. Imagine the video with Trump and Putin. It used to be Reagan and Brezhnev that 2 tribes go to war. Ronald Reagan and Brezhnev. Brezhnev was the president of the Soviet Union. Video via the BBC. Are they about the UFOs? And Phil says to Donna, Putin is a judo guy. He'd batter Trump and I'd pay to watch. I think Dennis Paparak could pay to watch as well. And the poet says Fidel Castro and Che Guevara throughout the Yanks, including the Allen Dulles-led CIA, yes. Their puppet dictator Batista, the corporate, stroke banking elite, aka the Epstein class of the 1950s and the mob. Yeah. That's spot on there. He did throw them out, just like Putin. Putin threw all those oligarchs out, including Israelites, including Americans. He threw them out. Not for you lot, because they were stealing the resources of the Soviets. Well, Russia now. He threw them all out. And Lockstock says, we're going to rise a revolution. I don't want to save the world. The world's corrupt. So why save it? Good shout. Zonna says, Frank, I'm exactly the same after COVID. I struggle to leave the house. It's horrible. It's horrible. And it was a big scam. COVID. There was COVID, but lockdown was a big scam. About control. Cedric, are you Cedric? Big up, legend. Ready for the show, but first, what is your thoughts on Ali missing games to prepare for the World Cup? Yeah, yeah. I was watching Brazil, and they've got the mindset now of European football. Physical and snazzy. They were never snazzy. They always played pure football, but that's coming over too. These great players. And Phil says, Fran, AA Answer, the principle that tiny, unyielding minority can decide the behaviour of a majority is widely recognised mathematical framework in network science and sociology. My mate was a sociologist. He used to lecture it. Cedric. Chat, hope you're well. There. And Lockstock says, stop it. Yeah, stop the war. Any war. Hello, Cedric, says the bastard. And the master says, I need a new network to watch any recommendations. Used to watch RT News, but can't get it anymore. I'm trying to think of that film. What I'll do, I'll give you all a break in about at 8 o'clock. Go make yourselves a cup of tea and I'll look for that film because it's well worth a watch, That science fiction film, and it was done in the 50s. It's in colour as well. Really good film. And it's only like what science fiction writers are writing. Yet, it's happening today. It's not only that, though, because at the time, there was a Cold War going on with the Soviet Union, between the West and the Soviet Union. And it was like the invasion of the body snatchers, for example. And that was about like if the Soviets came over, they would take over you. When Worlds Collide, that's what it was called. When Worlds Collide, that's the film. Cracking little film, great little sci-fi. But it makes you wonder what this Elon Musk is doing. Incredible. And Phil says, Frank, you are correct. Asimov, he was of Russian descent. Worth a YouTube search for him. I'll have a go at that. I'll have a go at that. Whatever happened to Leon Trotsky? He was Lockstock, he was assassinated. Trotsky. You see, you had all these great revolutionaries, and you had the likes of Stalin and Joseph Stalin. He went from being See, look, when you read anything about, let's put it this way, the only way I can put it. If a war, starts and ends, it's always written by the victors. Any war, any country, it's written by the victor of that war. And they exaggerate a hell of a lot. But that exaggeration then spills over. And then it's like the Chinese whisper. The old Chinese whisper, you say one thing, but by the time it gets through the lines and everything else, it comes out different. A different message. And that's what history's like, to be honest. And as Leo Tolstoy said, history could be a wonderful thing if it was true, because he was talking about the propaganda and misinformation. And this is exactly what's going on today. Exactly. Lock, stock, the Stranglers. Oh, stop it. The Stranglers. That's a punk era, though, isn't it? I'm a Beatle era, mate. The wood. The USA are going to go full disclosure on UFOs and UAPs soon. You wait. Well, that's what Trump said, wasn't it? But when you look at the way Trump's going and these Epstein files, this is what it's all about. Distraction. It's all about distraction. He does anything for distraction to get away from the Epstein files. Mr. Big. Good evening, Frank and chat, fellow Reds. You never walk alone. And smash the likes. That's what I like to hear. They never do. And for all the good bits, we are being ruled by yes, I know what you mean by that. And they are. They are, unfortunately. And Lockstock says to her, Woodmaster, it's not the world, it's the people in it. Good shout. Good shout. Why can't we get on with each other? See, what happened in Ireland, which was Northern Ireland, that is, Belfast, was shocking. But now you have people who are taking it out on everybody. Everybody. And that's wrong. Whatever different coloured skin you have, they're taking it out on those as well. Well, said Tennessee is the Woodmaster. And Lockstock says all countries have beauty. Yeah, of course. Of course. This country is beautiful if you go to the right places. Every country has, as you said. as you said, lock, stock. I missed a bit. Well, I stands with Northern Ireland after current events. But there's been current events here as well, hasn't there? Look at that lad. Look at the little girls. Fancy knowing, say like your own. And the little girl goes through a Taylor Swift dance to learn to dance properly. Modern dancing, that is. And to find out that she's being murdered by some loony. Excuse me. Gotta try and get comfortable. And Dennis says, the Russian writers was always a fan of Iskander Solzhenitsyn. I remember Solzhenitsyn, Dennis, when he left Russia, he left the Soviet Union, Solzhenitsyn, and he went to live in Switzerland, and he couldn't wait to get back to Russia. He said, the West is not what you think it is. Alexander, yeah. Solzhenitsyn. And the BPP, I flank. Agree with you on COVID's one big scam. Gates, Fauci, Soros, the WEF, yeah. World Health Organization, yes. The UN, NATO, the royal families, all in on it. Can't believe so many fell for it. That's the unfortunate thing. We did. And, when people were wearing those masks, people made millions out of it. Big scam. Because I remember some doctor was looking at him, and he said, why are they walking around with masks on? He said, even in courts, they've all got masks on. He said, what for? He says, unintelligent people, academics are wearing masks. They'd be useless with a virus. We're in a virus. He said, it's all right doing an operation, because of germs. He said, but a virus is totally different. It won't protect you. And you're not protecting the people in front of you. It's like the bubonic plague. And there's a very famous saying that came from that. I'll tell you what it is. When we're talking and you say, well, I turned around and I said, we always seem to say that. I turned around and I told them. Because what it was going back then, during the bubonic plague, you couldn't have a conversation face to face. So you turned your back, your head, and I started talking. You know what I mean? You started talking to this particular person here. And then when you finished, you turn like that. So that person then would turn his back to reply to you. And then they turned around because they didn't want to in your face. So I turned around and said, and that was more safer than wearing a mask. Ta-da! Crazy. Yeah, I see plenty. Yeah, that's it. Yes. Yes. It's like in America. There was a lad named Anthony Camello, and he stabbed a lad to death with a knife. You want to see what's going on, and the person, the murderer, and his crowd that follow him are playing the victims. They're playing the victims. I want justice. The parents of this lad, the murderer, are saying, I want justice for my son. He's just been in jail for 30 years. He went to, as I said, he went into this tent. He wasn't allowed to be there. The head lad of the tent, 17, told him to leave. He said, you're not allowed here, and you're not even you're from a different school. And anyway, he wouldn't leave. And he said, listen, we've got to put you out. And he said, touch me and you'll see what happens. Anyway, he ended up. Now, why did he go to this track and field event with a weapon? Namely, a knife. Why did he do that? And he took that lad's life. Just a nice lad. Nice looking kid as well. And yet, the family of this murderer, there was a GoFundMe for them, and they got $700,000. What did they do? They bought a big mansion. They bought nice cars. And when his trial was coming up, they got one of those lawyers that the court give you. They wouldn't even pay out for a decent lawyer for them. And they want justice for their son. Something wrong there, isn't it? But it was shocking what's being said by these supporters. And I mean really bad. And I wouldn't like to be an American now living anywhere near these people. I don't want to get too much into it, but that's the same here. And lock, stock to Dennis. It's the people who vote. Would you prefer fascism? And Blockstock says, England is beautiful. There will always be an England. Well, everyone's proud of their nationality. Everyone. Proud to be English, proud to be this, proud to be that. I'm proud to be a Scouser. I'm proud to be a Liverpool fan. I've been everywhere with Liverpool. I'm proud to say where I'm from. And Mr. B says, I see plenty of folk taken to the streets for foreign affairs, never really protecting our own. Two-tier police. Of course it is. Of course it is. And the worst thing about it is, about two-tier, and you've got to understand, is that whoever commits a crime and then it's not allowed to go public, well, you know who it is. So why don't you hear about these crimes, horrible crimes that are being committed? That's your two-tier. And it puts people in fear and anger and frustration at the government, the politicians, the police, everyone gets dragged into it. And the Woods of the Lockstock says, very true, the road to fascism, a long one. A long one. It can take less than a generation to be in the state of the world was in the 1930s. Be careful for what you wish for. Yes. Good shout, that, master. And Dennis says, thought the two tribes was a Reagan, and yeah, was it Brezhnev? I don't know, Shernenko. But I thought it was, it could have been actually, not Brezhnev. It could have been Shernenko, yeah. He succeeded Brezhnev. I think he was dead by then. Yeah, he was. You're right, spot on. Good shout, that, Dennis, thanks. Defo Lockstock life, brilliant, says Johnny. And Ali says, they throw us in homes so they can sell their online stuff because everything is online now. Plus, many were killed. And Mr. B says, how many jabs have took innocent lives? Scaremongering, 15 minutes city, etc. Yeah, I'm being honest, I had a jab. So fuck this COVID. All a scam. And Phil says to Mr. V, in my opinion, George Galloway made a fool of himself on Wednesday, blaming Starmer. Galloway spent decades in Parliament. Can't ever recall a speech against mass uncontrolled immigration, double agent. Yeah, I watch him now and again, but I won't watch him all the time. George. Because he called the knuckle draggers, the people in Ireland who are fed up with what's going on, to behead someone in the open. You just don't do that. And we all know what's going on with groups of people as well, groups of men. And unfortunately, everybody's scared of the label racism, racist, and anti-Semitic. Everybody's afraid of it. But you're right there, uncontrolled immigration. And Jenna says, Frank, link sent via WhatsApp, mate. Okay. Oh, fuck. Went off then. Whoa. Whoa, watch that later. Can't wait for that. They're about UFOs, people. What Dennis has sent me. I told you I seen one, didn't I? I seen one in France. Thank you, Dennis. And if I get fit enough, I'll come and visit you when I have my operation. But it won't be till next year, like. And PP says, look at a picture of Fidel Castro when he was young, and compare it to Justin Trudeau. Castro reportedly has an affair with Trudeau's mother. It's uncanny. Go away. It's not true. Never. Friggin' hell. No, can't see that. Friggin' hell. And Donna says the programme, The Outer Limits, is Bella. Hiya, Bella. Buonasera, Franco, a tutti. A tutti. And all. Buonasera, Bella. Buonasera, cara mia, Bella. Hi, Bella. And then it says to the Lockstock Trotsky is referenced in the first verse of the Stranglers' song No More Heroes. I remember growing up, well, not growing up, I was a young fella, and he's a Trotsky, I said. He's a Trotskyist. That's when the students were all on about. Oh, you can't say anything. Good evening, Frank, and all here, says Janet. Good evening, Janet. And Mr. B said, hashtag 97. That's good, that. Yes. Yes, Mr. B. Our lads and girls and children. Stephen Gerrard's cousin, 10 years of age. And Lockstock says, oh, Defo, I'm a punk. I'm a punk. Johnny Rotten exposed, and I'm going back to the 70s. Jimmy Savile, but he was shut up. Johnny Lydon, Johnny Rotten. Great him. Get back the Beatles to where you once belonged. Yes. I'm also a Beatle. We're going to rise a revolution, they say. It's just an institution. I don't want to save the world. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Lennon was one of these intellectuals. I remember him going over to the States, and he was doing this theatre, doing a concert there. And they found out on the day, now they're going in on the night, and they said, we're not doing it. They said, you got in it? He said, no, because blacks weren't allowed in. So they said, well, they were over there for a while anyway, doing concerts. And they said, what if we integrated? He said, yeah, we'll do them. We'll do the show. That was Lennon and McCartney, and Harrison. Not Ringo, because he was dumb anyway. But, they said, yeah, we'll do it. And they did do it. But it wasn't on that night because it was too late, But anyway, they rescheduled it, and they went to that. I forget where it was, actually. But they didn't want to play to just an all-white audience. And it was integrated. And the blacks were made up, the black people who went there. They loved the Beatles like they loved, everybody else loved them. He enjoyed the music. But I think that was a great gesture, but it was always kept under wraps. Hardly anyone ever heard about it. And when how do I say this? The Bible Belt people, when Lenin came out and said, we're more famous than Jesus, Christ. What he meant by that wasn't like, we're only a group of people back 2,000 years hence before. Group of people knew about Jesus. And yet, through technology, television, and whatever, records, and going to different places in planes and playing, the likes of America, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, even Russia, but Paul McCartney went there. But anywhere, everywhere, he says we're more popular than Christ. And it was true. He was only saying about the time, the difference in time. And yet they were burning the Beatles records. And I always think people, like today, if they were young, like a very young, like say 13, 14-year-olds and saved the dollars, or well, not even dollars, but saved up to buy, say like, Please Please Me. I wonder if he'll regret that today as a grown, like a granddad. I burnt, my LP. Think about it. The Beatles. And Lockstock said to Janet, yes, that's why I said the Stranglers. And Janet says, do you know there's an anti-racist protest on County Road tomorrow? No, I didn't. No. And they should be. And Phil says Sputnik and RT published leaked files. Russian hackers found it. An anonymous hack has exposed a massive secret British psychological operation designed to meddle in European domestic affairs. This is how the likes of von der Leyen is in power. Well, Kaya Kallas is fucking going, isn't she? She's off air, pop air. The diplomat. What a plant pot she is. And Phil. Spreading Russophobia, Operation Integrity. I think it was 2018, the EU, to debate it, says Phil. There's always been Russophobe. Even going back to the, let's say the Crimean War before then, because this country was actually still building the empire. And what they wanted Vladivostok, because that was the gateway to the east coast, west coast of America and to China. And they wanted that. That's why they had the Crimean War. And Mr. B, there's enough money in the world to have equal distribution, but greed, control, and power will never let it happen. Of course it won't. Money men know how to control everything. And they know how to bribe people as well. Copites of Anfield. Evening, Frank. Great chat today. Looking forward to doing some content with you. Yeah, that was good, that, mate. I enjoyed it myself. Spoke for ages, didn't we? Yeah, good content, though, what we'll do. Looking forward to it, actually. And Lockstock says to Donna, yes, life is. We are so fortunate. Good shout, I like that. We are so fortunate. But other people, unfortunately, lock, stock, are not so fortunate. You've only got to think of the West Bank. You've only got to think of Gaza. You've only got to think of, I'm talking about ordinary Ukrainians. And ordinary Iranians. What do they deserve? Look at that girl's school. 168 schoolgirls were killed by 3 taps. Not one missile, not 2 missiles, but 3. They knew what they were doing. 168 schoolgirls were killed from very young ages. I think from the age of 7 up to 12 years of age. Every one of them blasted. In other words, they were fried with these missiles that they've got. Fried. The teachers were fried. Think about that. Missiles. That's why the military complexes are so happy with wars. They make a lot of money, and so do congressmen, because lobbyists get to them, giving them big envelopes like that thick, full of the big ones. Not little ones, big ones. And Phil says to people, what was it? Let's remind me. Yeah, Sputnik, an RT published leaked files Russian hackers found it. And an anonymous hack has exposed a massive secret British psychological operation designed to meddle in European domestic affairs. They're doing it anyway. We do it. The Russians do it. The Yanks are, are always doing it. They do meddle. But you get the lies. And as Tolstoy said, history would be a wonderful thing if it was true. Because what he was talking about was propaganda. And you get the likes of, what was it? Where was it? Oh, yeah, the Romanian parliament. They've got a new leader there. And the EU cancelled elections because this fella, Georgescu, was going to win by a landslide. At least I had to tell you. He's going to win by a landslide. So von der Leyen, or von der Leyen, she cancelled. What fucking right did she have to cancel any European election? And they got the puppet in. What they wanted. The corruption is already there. And what did she blame? TikTok, saying that Russia was meddling with TikTok. Then they came out and said, no, even the Romanians said they weren't. They weren't. This is what it's all about. Social media. And the fact Michelle Moe made hundreds of millions from government PPE contracts she didn't provide. She didn't provide in COVID, Frank. There you go. And where's her money? Isn't it in the Cayman Islands? She should be in jail here. Moan. And her husband and her kids. She gave them millions each, didn't she? Out of the millions she made, she scammed. Don't understand her. I can't even afford me electricity bills of a winter. It's shocking. And the Pat says they made a Lord Yes, she is. She's a Laws, isn't she? And Mr. Bay, 7-7 Glasgow Airport, Manchester Concert, London Bridge, Southport, Lee Rigby, Lee Nowak. I know I missed a few. Just very sad. But you're missing the gangs, aren't you, as well? What's happening? It's the way it's gone. I'm not talking about ordinary, say, look, I was going to post something. I said, okay, what do we do? With people doing these horrible things to ordinary people, by the way. I'm talking about if I was an immigrant, say like in Australia, they're good Irish. Say I was in Australia as an ordinary immigrant, and some English fella killed someone, and all the Australians were looking at me because I'm English and throwing me out. What have I done? I've done nothing. But when you look at the way it's going, and people are looking at other people, say like different coloured skin, no matter who it is, different coloured skin, but they're legitimate. They're legitimate. So I was going to put a post up and say, well, if these people want everyone out, because what they're saying is send millions and millions of them back. Where does it stop there? So what do we do? Do we start from the top? Let's start with politicians. Let's start with surgeons and doctors and nurses. Let's start with, and the list goes down and down and down until you get to the people who clean. Do we start with all them and throw them out? Lawyers, the old kit and caboodle, from politicians to lawyers to surgeons to nurses to doctors, GPs, teachers, everyone. Religious people. Do we throw them all out? And I'm talking about the religion here, what we have, Christianity, because there are people who are Christian. Do we start with them and throw them all out? Do we start with footballers as well? Sports people, throw them out. Do we start with entertainers? Yeah, get out. So, where does it stop? Maybe, you'll disagree with me, but it's entirely up to you. Someone asked me to remind them. I forgot to ask Jason, actually. And I'm awfully sorry. About some of the films that I mentioned yesterday on the show. And let me say three films, please. One is My Ex-Super Girlfriend, Uma Thurman and Luke Wilson. You've got to watch that. You get it on YouTube. The other one is Carl Urban, The Loft. If you haven't seen them two, watch them. Fantastic. Really fantastic. And another one, a mad one, it's great. It's called Clue. Just a clue. No. Give me a clue. 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 Brilliant, honestly. Really is good, And let me say another one. And if you like anything, like not an RS sort of thing, a game with Luke Wilson, and it's called Vacancy, with that Kate Beckinsale. It's really good. It's like an itchy cocky thing. Even like the credits, when it starts, it's just like Hitchcock. It's really good. And you get that on YouTube. I'm sorry, I've got all this fucking itchy thing. It's back with me, unfortunately. That complaint I've got, fucking hell, everything's wrong with me. Henry says Mr. B. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have. John Henry you're talking about. Don't like him. And I'm not saying owner. Don't call him an owner because he doesn't fucking own us. He's a custodian. He's a cocky watchman. That's what I call him. And Janet said, corner of Barlow Lane in County Road at 11:30 a.m. Anti-far right. 11 in the morning. Thanks, Janet. And Phil says, Mr. B, the fella at Glasgow Airport set himself alight and got battered, was made up. That must have been a terrible fucking jet, though. And Donna says, your phone asks if face recognition or fingerprint. Myself, choose fingerprint. I don't think AI can fake my fingerprint. No. Even your voice. My voice is my password. Matter is what they do. Wait till they will have that identity thing, digital identity. Because you get it at airports where you look into a thing and they're looking at your eyes. Do you know what your eyes are like? It's like your eyes are a fingerprint. And Mr. B, 49k the NHS got for every death registered as COVID facts. Yet he got paid, didn't he? Well, councils, for every illegal immigrant that comes in, I'm not talking about legal ones, illegal ones, they get, I think it's 5,000 per if they put them up. Councils. And Lockstock says, what's your point, Mr. B? And Lockstock says, I'm an English Scouser. Well, there was a Scouts John the other night, Lockstock. And I mentioned about 3 of my favourite players for Liverpool Football Club. And I said, Steven Gerrard. And I said, Kenny Dalglish. I know Kerry. I can go into my living room now, bring out the photograph of me and Kenny. Sit with me living room there. Because I know Kenny. Anyway, and I said, Mo Salah, for what he done for us. For Liverpool, breaking records every single season. Every record. And he called me a clown and told me to fuck off. Because I mentioned Mo Salah. Because he put us up. He put 10 up. And he never even mentioned Mo Salah. That's him for you. And the Mr. B says, scam, Lockstock. And Mr. B says, don't be sorry. Never fucking be sorry on here, Mr. B. I've told you that. Just say, I'm Scottish. That's all. Never be sorry. And the past says, what crimes do people not get to hear about? Let's be straight. If an immigrant commits a crime, the algorithm pushes it like mad. We live in Liverpool. People get stabbed all the time and no paper cover. Nope. And what have we been doing since the 15th of April 1989? We've been fighting the establishments, haven't we? That's what we've been doing. I've told you once before, for the work I've done, history and that, Liverpool, and I was nominated for a gong, and anyway, I was going to get a gong, and I refused it because I've been fighting the establishments. What do I want a fucking gong for after people that have been fighting, still fighting them today? You see what I mean? So it's not a matter of what's what and who's who with the establishment. It's what they do. And it all started with that rag, the truth. And it was carried on by Thatcher and her government. And it's still the same today, albeit that every Liverpool fan was exonerated. Remember Brian Clough? When he said, it was the drunken yobs. It was the drunken yobs that caused all that. And his son, Nigel, was playing for us at the time. I despised that man. Got no respect for him whatsoever. Brian Clough. Am I wrong on that, by the way? Do you think I'm being petty? Let me know. The path by our own. And the path says the ruling class just wants the working class fighting each other, absolutely, or immigrants, anyone, rather than them. Yes. Great comment there. And Phil says, Frank, political class are scurrilous. George Galloway called those who are no knuckle draggers who attended the pro-UK marches as flag shaggers, yes. But why are people marching carry other countries' flags, not a flag of shaggers? The thing is, we're not allowed, are we? I don't support England, as you know. I'm just, I've always supported from a little boy with my granddad, who was Italian. The Azzurri, Italy, I've always supported them. So I don't support England. I don't support them. And, and I'm even going back a few years ago when I used to go to a pub in town, the middle of town. And he was told, at Buxton, he owned a pub. He's dead now, poor Alf. And he was told not to put out the English flag on St. George's Day. And there was a place up in, where was it? Oh, I forget where it was. Anyway, they were told not to put out any flags in their shop. Told not to. So this is what we have, but it's not just going like today. It's been going on for many years. But Alfie fucking put them out anyway. He put them out. And funny enough, I was standing outside, I was smoking, I was just having a fag. And this couple came, Canadian, they were middle-aged. And they said, this is the first pub we've seen with English flags. I said, because they've been banned. And Alfie, he put them out. And Lockstock says, why are people saying everything is a scam nowadays? People have always ripped people off. It's how it's always been. No, you're right. You're right. But it is, it's I'm not saying it's an in word, but they are scam. Look, do you know right now, right this fucking minute, Lockstock, I get a phone call. And this fella, he's an Indian from India. And he was trying to scam me. He was trying to hack me. He was trying to get into my bank account. And I sorted it out, only for Jason, my producer. And my bank, I phoned my bank up today. I said, what the... Because they got hold of me and saying, listen, is this you and all this? I had to fill in this thing. Someone was trying to scam me. I remember a few years ago, and I was hacked. This is why I don't use Facebook anymore. I was hacked. I had over like 3,000 friends, and I lost contacts and good people because this fella hacked me. Just brought him in as a friend. I felt sorry for him. Not saying where he came from. I know where he came from. And he started asking in my name. He took my profile and was asking people for money. Give me £600 and I'll guarantee you'll have £60,000 within 2 weeks. That's what he was saying. And Facebook, stopped it. I appealed. I did everything. Never got my thing back. And that's why even now I was very reluctant to add friends. People asking, to be my friends. I've got loads of them. Asking, be a friend. Won't even confirm them. Simply because I was hacked once and they never ever let me back on again. And it wasn't me. I don't ask anyone for anything. Even on my podcast, as you know, my football podcast, I don't ask for anything off anybody. And the Pat says, I think the level of rip-offs have escalated, maybe. Of course they have. Oh, you never think. You was tripping. I was tripping. And the Pat says, a Jewish ambulance. Do you ever remember that Hind? Poor child. Little girl. When you just mentioned that the ambulance fellas going, they were shot dead and blown up. And little Hind was found. She was asking for help. And she had 335 bullets in her. And a little girl called, you just see her going up a road. She's full of, debris, white, beautiful child. Beautiful little child. And she was a little girl, about 3 or 4 maximum. And she had this princess dress on, from Frozen. Someone must have put it on it. And it was filthy. And she was just walking aimlessly. And I asked funny enough, George Galloway, I said, she was known as the princess, from Frozen. And I said, and he read it out, read me comments out. And he said, Frank Carlyle, she's dead. Now, I've never got over that. And I've got something on my phone, a little girl, I've showed you it. A little beautiful little girl. And whoever it was, gave her a lollipop. And they were filming it. They were just filming it. And her eyes filled up. And she was just looking at them. And she was looking at the lollipop. And I said, that's the first time. This child must have been the same age, 3 or 4. Little girl. First time someone had shown kindness to her. Rather than the fucking bombs and bullets and missiles devastating around her. And a friend of mine, who I had total respect for, in a band, musician, lovely fella, just messaged me and said, it's a mass propaganda. I said, whether it's a mass propaganda, that child. He said, I take no notice, it's a mass propaganda. I fucking destroyed him. Verbally. And I'll never ever speak to him again. Because that child, I can show you it on here. That child was dead within 3 days after receiving that lollipop. And he's calling it a mass propaganda. That's what you have with our souls. Didn't realise he was such a fucking arsehole. The good old days, says the lockstock. And Mr. B, it's not selling of cars or washing machines. The governments are playing with humans, innocent lives. Brilliant. And Lockstock says, Bella tutti frutti, all fruit. That reminds me when we used to stand in the cop. And a friend of ours, he was standing, he's a terrible fucking poser. And do you ever remember the fella who used to sell sweets going around and you used to throw your sixpence or whatever it was? And he said, have you got a pack of tutti frutti, please? And they all looked at him and went, I'll behave your fucking self. That's what reminded me of that. In the cop. David Simpson, how you, David? How's your neck, Frank? You must need it. My neck, I've got to go in for an operation on my spine. On my spine, David. It's a very dangerous operation. I must add, in August. So I can't even walk, David. I can't walk to you, mate. And I tell you what, I do need pillows. Well, one pillow. And I need a duvet cover as well. I need some new duvets and sheets. So I would have been down to see you, David. You're a good man. Evening, Frank. How's your next? You must need a new... How's your next? You mean me neck? And Dennis says, Lockstock, P40, I'm the 5th Beatle. I want to join the band. Who remembers Citizen Smith, says Janet. Yeah, yeah, I remember Citizen Smith. And comedy, wasn't it? He was like a Che Guevara, wasn't he, really? Down in Finchley or somewhere in London. It's funny. And Zena says, got her on, folks. Meeting mates for a late lunch. Have a great weekend, all. Thank you there, Dennis. Watch out for those fucking alligators, will you? And Phil says, the Get Back documentaries was amazing. Yes. Brilliant. You're seeing the way the lads were. But unfortunately, Yoko done my head in. She done it in then, at the time, and she does it in now when I watched that. Yoko. Ooh, Foxy says Lockstock to Janet. And Bella says to Lockstock, wanna say that? The Lockstock says, Dennis, enjoy. He will, Lockstock. Janet. Ooh, Wolfie, yeah, he was known as Wolfie, wasn't he? Lindsay, what was his name? Something Lindsay, wasn't it? Something Lindsay. And Jock Lockstock, Vladivostok, he played for Liverpool, didn't he? No, he played for Everton. He was crap. We had Jay Sparrow and Julian Dix. Should have said the jokes about him, Julian, on the Cop. Unrepeatable because of our lovely ladies. And Mr. B exploited a band from Edinburgh, a punk band. I'm being honest, I didn't like the punk era, you know. I was a lot older when the punks came out. Those mad haircuts. And the girls. Anyway, Ali says 90% of the non-EU immigrants of men in 2020, Romanian president got the Carlyle Prize for bringing immigrants into Romania. I read it. In that book is everything about it to destroy European race. Yeah. It's what the Americans are doing. Destabilize the Middle East and to destabilize Europe. I know all about it. And Janet said, so sad about the Thai lady who died after being in a coma for 3 years. I know nothing about that, to be honest, Janet, honestly. And Lockstock says exactly that's why we are fortunate. Absolutely. Absolutely, lad. And the cop says, yeah, Frank, it was over 3 hours. I know. It was time for a cup of tea and a pee. But anyway, my daughter was just as well. She phoned me. Mate. I had to talk to her. My little granddaughter tonight has been confirmed. And she said, you can't go, can you, Dad? I said, no. Unfortunately, I would have liked to have gone to the confirmation. She's got a great name, you know. She's getting Cecilia. That's a confirmation name. And like a little name is Sophia Francesca Cecilia. Good Italian name, isn't it? And she picked her. Obviously, she didn't pick Sophia and Francesca. Anyway, Ali says, Frank, many of those non-EU immigrants grow reading in their books about how to kill non-believers. Yeah, you're right there. They do. That's. They say, and for them, everything is about religion. They give their life for it. Very dangerous. Well, that's why they're called martyrs. But I don't want to really get into that. And Lockstock says, I'm not saying it makes me feel better, just saying we are fortunate. No, because you're fortunate to go to bed and cover yourself in a warm bed. That's how you're fortunate. I am. But when you start thinking about the homeless who are out on freezing cold nights, in the rain, and even in warm weather, the lining's always where rats, don't forget, rats come out of a night. Like, say, 2 o'clock in the morning where it's dead. And you see them coming along the walls. They go over them. People in the doorways. Our country is the best in the world, in my opinion. Well, I'm being honest, I don't fucking think so. I've been fighting for justice for 97 lives that was taken unlawfully. You're going to argue with me on that? I was there. And Mr. B says to Ali, careful, you'll upset the wet wife's life is wonderful. Yeah. My country. So what you think? Am I wrong there, Lockstock? And Phil says, scientifically proven that if all the money in the world was evenly distributed, it would actually redistribute back to the original wealth holders. And they would, look, who was it who said, was it, who was it? Mark Twain. The rich have an abundance of poor. The rich have an abundance of poor. I'm sure it was Mark Twain who said that. Well, you know why they have an abundance of poor? Because they're doing the work for the rich. They're making the rich very, 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 very wealthy. Aren't they? It's a strain on the country, nothing to do with ethnicity. Nothing's to do with ethnicity. Nothing at all. This is what it's all about. That's why there's anti-racist marches. But you don't go around burning people out just because. Anyway, Poet says, not being funny, but these communities in the East Belfast kicking doors in and burning people out used to celebrate when the Shankill butchers, whoa, I've read that, used to do the exact same thing as the Sudanese nutcase, yeah. The butchers of Shankill, I've read that. I entered out and I never got it back. That was horrible, that. But they did. And Phil, Frank, I have travelled, I know you have, mate. In my opinion, the UK is the best country to live, but they are doing a pretty good job of ruining it. Yes. But it's not us. It's not like us. It's the WEF, it's Soros, it's that lot. BlackRock. Starmer, as soon as he come in, the first thing he done was to invite BlackRock into the country. BlackRock. And Lockstock says there is a difference between essential workers like surgeons and doctors. The point is illegal. Yes, that's what I'm saying. No, but you get, that's what I've just been saying. That's what, hang on a minute. Yeah, the likes of Phil, let's just take Phil's thing. Look, he says, Frank, I have travelled quite a bit. In my opinion, the UK is the best country to live, but they are doing a pretty good job of ruining it. And that's allowing illegals in Lockstock. That's allowing, these boat people. And we don't know who they are. We don't know, haven't a clue who they are. And that's what it's all about. It's not about nurses coming over, and doing a fine job everywhere. I've got a doctor who's, what is he? I don't know whether he's Indian or Pakistani. I'm not quite so sure. Lovely fella. But I have about 3 doctors, and one is an Irish girl. Fantastic. So you see, it's not a matter of, you're right, it's illegal. So I don't think any fucking surgeons, lawyers, politicians, judges, nurses, teachers, or anything are illegal to you. Lawyers. I don't think that they're illegal immigrants coming in and getting a job. That's why it says what you do. You go from the top. These are the knuckle draggers, by the way, I'm talking about. And you get the fucking loads of them. And Phil says, poet, you're correct, but the deep state won't deal the root cause. People are enraged as nothing is changing. Most people have no idea of how the state is handling immigration. No, we're allowing them in. You had, strangely enough, I was looking at this, and you had these people with water cannons, against the people in Northern Ireland because they were protesting. And that was escalating. That made that worse. And then arresting. Look at the people down in London and everywhere else who were, shouting up for the people of Palestine. And I'm talking about pensioners as well. They were arresting them, moving them on. One lady, old lady, God knows how old she was, in a wheelchair, and they wheeled her away from the protest. What's that all about? Freedom of speech, I can't say anything. I've been warned on a number of occasions. Freedom of speech is gone. Simple as that. And the path, is there a colour chart for throwing people out? People are being riled up into a race war, and they think it's organic. Don't fall for it. You're angry. You're deprived. The rich. Of course they did. The rich did that to you, not the Browns. We're a tiny island. Of course we are. We're very very tiny. And Phil says that lots of illegal immigrants are white. But they don't believe that, you see. It's just, no, they're not. Lock, stock, sound. And I don't know what you mean, Frank. What I'm saying is, you know, I stand against, you know, you said, you know, to you, your opinion is it's the greatest country in the world. It might be beautiful. I used to take my students all over the place. And I used to go up to, I'm a great fan of William Wordsworth, so I used to go up to Rydal Mount and Dove Cottage to see his homes. And I used to recite the poetry there. Love the lakes, I love it. I've been up to Scotland. I've been over to Yorkshire. And the Norfolk Centre. I'm a historian. I've been everywhere, all over that. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm not getting away from that. But as a historian, you've got today the likes of America trying to build empires. And what are they doing to build empires? They're fucking slaughtering people. That's what we did. We didn't go into India and say, all right, lads, we're going to build your schools. We're going to give you this religion. We're going to do this. We're going to do that for you. Did we do that? No. We went in, slaughtered them, and fucking took all their resources. Everywhere. I'm not just saying India. The empire. The empire. We got to Tasmania. Cook got to Tasmania. And they seen these Aborigines, but they didn't know what they were. And they thought they were animals because they always crouched. And they still do it today with their national dress and what they did years ago. And they were crouching. And they got paint on. And they thought they were animals and they killed them all. Because they didn't know. They didn't know. This is our empire building. You don't go in and say, yeah, you know, we're this, we're that. See what I mean? And someone mentioned the Roman Empire. But what about them? They were empire builders. I said, yeah. I said, because fucking Europe was here. I said, us, for example, we were running around. We were living in little straw huts. And we were running around with woes on our backside to see what village we came from, what tribe we belonged to. And the Romans came and started trading with us in 37 BC. Caesar. And they built us roads. It was like Rome, this country. Building temple, built everything. I said, that's what they did. Give us education. They gave us street lamps. They gave us underground heating. That's a fucking big difference from going into India or places like that and fucking Africa, killing them and saying, we're here to stay. We're taking your resources, by the way. Yeah, so you've said I'm a Scouser, I'm English. Yeah, well, okay. That's fine. You know, no one's saying anything. Lock, stock. I'm a Liverpool supporter. But I'm proud to be half Italian. Very proud. And I'm proud to be a Scouser. Can I say that? Poet says the Shankill Butchers murdered 23 Catholics and 8 of their own. They were led by a nutter called Lenny Murphy, who the IRA ended up doing in. what happens on Monday was horrific, but we have short memories. Yes. And I always remember Thatcher bringing in that, what was his name? McDonald's. What was his fucking name? 2 murderers. And they became MPs in Northern Ireland. And what's the fucking names? And they murdered people. Actually fucking murdered people. Well, do you remember when she brought over that Pinochet? Pinochet, the Chilean, who murdered hundreds and hundreds of people in a big football stadium, Pinochet. You remember him? She invited him over. Menachem Begin, the Israeli Prime Minister, who fucking hanged 3 British soldiers from lampposts in Israel. He was known as a terrorist, and he was wanted dead or alive by the English. Then he became Prime Minister, and she fucking invited him over to number 10 Downing Street. Why? It seems you have a good life. Who, me? How do you know? You don't know me. I've had a fucking terrible life. And the Pat says, I don't think it's just short memories, poet. I think people have issues with colour of people's skin. We have, well, if you look at Northern Ireland, and the troubles there, it wasn't, they were white, everyone. And it was the religion. People hated, being a Catholic. And Catholics hated, the Protestants. Because they ruled, didn't they? They ruled. Look, I can tell you loads about here, this city of ours. I can tell you loads about it. If you know Netherfield Road in Liverpool, you know that it's up in the Everton area. Scotland Road is down. And that's where, Netherfield Road is where most Protestants lived. And they looked down at Scotland Road, where the Catholics lived. And it's just like the same in Northern Ireland. Do you ever remember that Trimble and Paisley, when they walked the wall looking down at the Catholics, and they were doing this victory thing? And that was on the 12th of July, every 12th of July. It was shocking over there, sectarianism, but there was sectarianism here. I can tell you loads about it. I'm a historian. Here in Liverpool, there was loads in Glasgow. Tons of it in Glasgow. That's why you've got Celtic and Rangers. Remember Gascoigne, when he was playing for Rangers and he ran over, they just scored. Rangers scored. And I don't think Gaza had much up here, to be honest. I'm being honest with that. And he ran over to the Celtic fans and started doing that, playing the flute. Pretending to play the flute. Of course, murder that. Anyway. You was recognised for your work. Yes, I was. I was on Liverpool, and I refused the gong. Why should I take anything off the establishment that I've been fighting for since 1989? Lock, stock, honestly, mate. I don't want anything off them. You've gone from establishment to Brian Clough. When was you? Oh, a few years ago. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was only a few years ago. Because, as I said, I've been fighting the establishment since 1969. Lockstock. And Poet says, Lockstock. England has turned its back on this city many, many times, to the point Catholics and Protestants came together to form an overriding Scouse identity. They actually came together in the 1911 general strike. As I said, there was lots of sectarianism going on. So in 1911, with the general strike, 2 lads were shot dead. One was a Catholic, by the troops, by the way, because, they sent 50,000 armed troops up to Liverpool. And one was a Catholic and one was a Protestant. And each service was only in Upwood Street, near where I live now. And one of them was shot dead. So anyway, at the services, both Catholic and Protestant services, Catholics and Protestants joined together to go to the services for these 2 lads, these 2 dockers. That's the first time that they were united together after terrible sectarianism here. And I mean bad sectarianism. I could tell you all about it. But I'm not. I got away from that. And Mr. B, I'll never apologise for Scottish flag. God, I was responding to the Rockers. I know that, mate. Should be very proud of your heritage. Very proud. And the Irish as well. Should be very proud of them. And Phil said, no, Mr. B, honestly, mate, I'm made up that you're here with me. Really. But as I said, I'm not sorry for being, absolutely. Never be sorry for being what you are. Scottish, Idian, Shankly. Fucking hell. Kenny Dalglish. And Phil says, in America, lots of houses have their flag flying. Yes, they do. In their gardens. I'll be honest, it was impressive. They might be led by the morons, but they seem proud. Yeah, of course, they're so proud of the country. That's why we've got the flags outside. And Jock says, Poet, I've done okay, and so have many people. And Lockstock says, yes, Frank, we all get that. Thank you. That's nothing to do with our... No. See, you could get into, like, a debate, a discussion, but this is not a time, you give opinions and you get it back. It's like you're saying, I'm a Scunthorpe United supporter. Great, how are they getting on? Oh, well, we're crap. Well, one day, you never know, you might get a big owner to come in and buy players, and one day you might be great. That's the opinions. Anyway. And Paul says, no thanks to the establishment. You have done okay because previous generations fought against the establishment to give you a good life. Yes. Poet. And Lockstock. The establishments are doing everything in their power to stop online fraud. Oh. banks give you your money back. Do you think they'll give me £2,000 to get me tooth done, Lockstock? £2,000 for a little pensioner like me. Poet. There you go, poet. And Lockstock, you don't need face. No. I hardly go on it anyway. And Bella says, our lovely Bella, Brian Clough's comments were widely condemned as a cruel and disgraceful attack on innocent football fans. He was, a horrible human being after that. That's why Nigel Clough had to leave the club. We were going fucking mad over that. Mad when he said that. And Phil says, Frank, a prince from the foreign land told me he needed 1,000 to access his millions in the bank. In return for my 1,000, he would give me 1,000,000. Once he got his money, I immediately sent him 1,000. It's like that fella who whacked me. As if I said to Faye, I said, I don't do things like that. But anyway, never ever got me thing back. And I'm under this name now. 1 month ago, I received a mail that my Facebook account was hacked from Mumbai, India. It's like the times when they stole my accounts, yeah? Well, this is this fella he's put me in it. Only for Jason. I would have lost this. I would have completely lost everything. It's shocking what he's done to me. Mr. Mayfield, stop it. And the Lockstock says, you done okay before Facebook and YouTube, Frank. You done that walk the establishment offered you a gong. Oh, you done the work the establishment offered, yeah. But I don't think you know what I mean. You don't realise what I've gone through with these people. Honestly. You don't realise what I went through with Hillsborough. I can't sing You Never Walk Alone. I choke up. Tears fill my eyes. And I can't sing it. I choke up because I'm not singing I'm looking at the 97 before my eyes. You'll Never Walk Alone, and it's for them as well. And every other head that's here today, and unfortunately in the past that have gone, like the 97 souls, boys and girls. That's the way I look. And Bella says, you mean he was? Ooh. Right, I'm going to finish here, boys and girls. Frank, everything starts from the politics, agree, but we cannot save everybody. Many grow around crime, yet they do. Different religion, different wishes. Their leaders need to stop being corrupt, same as mine. Yes, there's loads of corruption. And the poet. Frank's done okay because working class people fought the British state. Who did we win the right to vote from? The Russians, What about the right to form a trade union? And that's what she's done, wasn't it? Thatcher. And she said, I'll ruin her. She got in 3 wishes she had, 3 ambitions, but she succeeded in 2, but not in another. That was to destroy a union, and that was the miners. And she did. To destroy a council, so she had to, she looked at Yorkshire, right out of Scargill, bang. She said, we can't go any further, we've got to do a southern thing. So they looked at London Lambeth Council, and they fucking destroyed that. And they looked at Liverpool for managed decline. They didn't know the resilience of Liverpool people, Scousers. We fought them tooth and fucking nail, and we succeeded. And what she did after Heseltine resigned from Westland's thing because she was selling it to the Americans, Westland. Super helicopters, by the way, if you didn't know what it was. And he said, I'm resigning. I've had enough of you. So she demoted him to Minister of Merseyside. And he came up here and he loved us. He loved us. Michael Heseltine, Tarzan, done a lot for us as well. You've only got to look at the Albert Top. That's what he done for us. And the poet says 16 people were shot on the streets of Liverpool, 2 shot dead by the British Army. Those men died so you could be okay, Lockstock, says the poet. Yes. Someone asked me to do, I said, no, I won't do sectarianism. Anyway, there we go, poet, says the Pat. You're so right. I was starting to lose faith in my fellow humans once the race crap kicks in. But when someone realises it's the control mechanism by the rights, faith restoring, yes. I think Paul Lockstock has lost the thread. Paul, what are you talking about, Terry? Terry not in Liverpool. And Phil says, Frank, well, I'm going to finish anyway because I've been on since 7. And it's been good tonight, though. Great comments. Loved it. We got through. I wanted to talk about Zelensky, but I only spoke a little passing with him. And Donna says, Anfield is hosting a country and western festival tonight. Yeah, it's at Anfield, yeah. Our Susan has just found 3 fellas in Everton Park dressed in full cowboy gear. They were lost. Oh, go away. Go away, really. My daughter, she brought Sophia up, my granddaughter, to Manchester last night, the Etihad. And she mentioned this fella. And I said, who are they? Who is he? And she said, have you ever heard Blinded by the Light? I said, yeah. She said, well, it's him. I said, oh, still don't know, but anyway, Sophia loved it. She loves musicals. Excuse me. And Phil says, Simon and Garfunkel. Oh, fucking Simon and Garfunkel. They were great then. The Boxer. Do you ever remember that? The Boxer. Great song, though. And the Lockstock's poet. My grandfather and millions of others fought so I could have the life I have. Yeah, so to me dad, he was a war hero, lock, stock. Nearly killed 4 times. And honestly, his lock, stock, I found out this week, my great-grandfather was in the first 900 to go over the top of the Battle of the Somme. And that's when, lock, stock, the whole of Liverpool, pals was wiped out, except for a few stragglers. In the first 2 hours of the first Battle of the Somme, on the 1st of July, 1960. 1960. And Janice says, and wake up in the morning. We've got to wake up. Yes, I will, Frank, says the lock, stock. So you only hate the country after... Stop fucking that, lad. I don't hate the country. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate the country. I fucking hate the establishment for what they've done to 97 lives and accused them and told lies and covered up about those 97 lives that were lost on the 15th of April, 1989. Don't say that again to me. Hate. Okay, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate the country. I fucking love my city. That's what I love. I love every Scouser in this thing. I love every Red. Every Liverpool fan I love. And I'll back them to the hilt. But don't ever say that to me again. I don't like that. So you only hate the country after 89. Did I say I hate the country, lock, stock? Did I? Answer me. I want a fucking answer off you now. And I'll go right down to see if you've... to say, oh yeah, you did. Or no, you didn't. Then I want an apology. If you don't want an apology, if you don't apologise, well, that's up to you. I won't ban you because you haven't told me to fuck off. Like that other fucking idiot, Scouts John, who fucking wasn't a Scouser. He came from St. Helens. And one thing I'm not is a fucking clown. As well, what he called me, a clown, because I like fucking Mo Salah. Up to you. Up to you, mate. Money is the root of all evil, says lovely. Yes. That poor Burke. Oh, he'd be fucking gone now. He's in Tenerife. He's always in Tenerife. Good evening from Tenerife, Frank and chat. I hope you're looking after Kath over there, you. Listen, Paula, I'll send you a message about what's happening to me, because I know that you've been away and that. I know. I'll tell you what's happening to me in August. If it's scientifically proven, says Rapat, money would go back to the rich if it was fairly distributed. Let's give it a go. What are the rich so scared for? It's proven it will go back to them. Well, yeah, because they're investors in everything, aren't they? From me and Cathy. Ah, yeah. Give her my love if you're still with us. I doubt if we will be, though. Because you sent that ages ago at 9 o'clock. Now it's fucking 9:30. Oh, great, that. Thank you, Paul. Love you, mate. And Phil says to the It's SAS proven from research in the 1800s till today. I'm going to go right down. Right down, I'm sorry. I want to see if this fella's got back to me. Phil and Pat, decent TV. Yeah. Exactly, that's history without history. History is a fucking load of bollocks, lad. As Leo Tolstoy said, history be a wonderful thing if it was true, because you'd have too much propaganda. But I love history. I love talking about the real history. The likes of who invented things. Can we make Liverpool into a country of its own, like Scotland and Wales, says Donna? Well, you've got Scouse nor English, haven't you? But I don't think Lockstock would be proud of that. Scouse not English because, again, it's the establishment. And they just don't fucking associate themselves with being English because of the establishment, and they're fighting. And Phil says to the Pat, you're conflating facts. Each illegal immigrant into the UK is a net loss of 245,000 to the UK economy. No matter what colour, illegal immigrants are not employees. Law. Yes. I've been saying that for a very long time, Mr. B. I always remember a few years ago, this female consultant, she was just giving on the telly, just giving an interview and on a news thing. And she said, the NHS isn't, privatisation of the NHS isn't coming through the back door anymore. It's walking straight through the front door. That's what she said. Villas as well. I'm lost. And Villa says, Franco, the country is a mess. Freedom of speech is gone. Freedom of speech has gone out the window. Men coming over by the thousands in boats know nothing about them. Young girls getting raped yet, children getting killed yet. Yes. And Phil says, Frank, I put my DNA results into AI. The information is returned was that I am a Scouse. What's what that fucking come back as? I don't know. I'll just grab hold of this one. Possibly so, Phil. It just really depresses me seeing my fellow Scousers falling for a government race beating. The government and the rich secret weapon against the poor is racism. It's always been racism. I just want to see if what I said to the Lockstock. For your tooth. I've got my tooth in the living room. I just need a good dentist to put a fucking back. Your spine is more important, though. Forget the tooth. No one notices it until you bring it to their attention. Yes. And on that note, I've got to go, people. It's 20 to 10. You're being absolutely wonderful. Great comments, by the way. Really wonderful comments. Great debate. We're all together, including me too. I couldn't do that Channel 5 thing. That's a big fucking suit. About Charles Dickens. I got a message off them. I forgot to tell you last week. Got a message off them saying, would you do the thing, that follow up? You're on Channel 5 when I was on Channel 5 that time. And I can't do it. I did that. Hello. You go with the fuck, see? See no notice of him. I'm going to end on this. Frank, just thinking about your teeth, you are lucky. Some people have the reverse problem of only one tooth in their head, not a tooth missing. They are known by the nickname One Eater. I'm going to finish. Thank you, Pete. Honestly, it's been great. I've got the history show. Don't forget these 3 films. That's My Super Ex-Girlfriend, The Loft, and Clue. They're 3 films, and the other one is Vacancy. Please watch them. All on YouTube. Yeah, all on YouTube, every one of them. I wanted Jason to put them across, going across the films. And as the Loft says, you're only bringing attention to yourself. Right, anyway, on that wonderful note, thank you so much for keeping me company tonight. I just hope, somebody, presses the like and subscribe, but no one does. And on that note, I'll leave you all. I'll say to my wonderful Italian ladies, only once tonight, Bella. Lovely Bella and Michelle, the daughter. And it's grazie mille, buonanotte, Bella, Michelle. And to all you wonderful English scousers and non-scousers and jocks, that is Mr. B. Be proud of yourselves. If you're all Reds, you'll never walk alone. And hopefully, I'll see you on Monday. See you all on Monday. And with that, good night. Ciao tutti. Ciao.